Hey, it's John McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And I do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 100 days, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, the number one factor that determines your corporate success, your business success, and the success with your home and family, which is confirmed by recent reports in PricewaterhouseCoopers, Forbes Inc., HBR, and other leading go-to resources, is that you have a clarity about your sense of purpose. Now, most successful people reach a point of aching for more. They got on a path, climbed to what they thought would feel like success, and once they were there, wondered if that's all there is. And the answer is no. There's more. And my guest's superpower is helping you break through, and he created a dynamic leader program which is designed to do just that. As your passion for life returns and your influence expands, you gain freedom, real and personal freedom. Now, Dr. Wayne Pernell is a high-performance leadership advisor. He helps leaders build influence and productivity by gaining greater clarity and certainty, even if you're in the midst of a major transition. Now, that means becoming more effective and productive. And what that really means is you're gaining more time and money freedom so you can focus on the things that really matter to you. Now, Dr. Wayne is an award-winning #1 best-selling author, speaker, and high-performance leadership advisor. He's a frequent guest on radio, leadership summits, and has been seen on morning TV and in Forbes magazine. He works with leaders and teams from entrepreneurs to multi-billion-dollar corporations. His clients have classified his work as life-changing, and he has come to be known as the leader's leader. You know the ache of just getting through your day? You've seen others who are quietly tiptoeing through life, hoping to make it safely to death. Well, that's not you. You know there's more, and you just need a little help to get there. We all do. The greatest leaders, from athletes to those in the corporate sector, have outside coaches and advisors. You can't ask a fish what water is like because they have no reference for not being in water. You need an outside perspective so that you can get out of your own way and break through your personal more. Now, a fun fact about Dr. Wayne is, besides being a 4th degree black belt, Wayne is also known for bringing out Curious George during his trainings as a foundation and reminder for staying curious. Now, we'll find out who Curious George is a little bit later on in the show. So I want you to stick around because we'll be right back, and I'm going to be joined by my friend and guest today, Dr. Wayne Pernell. But we're just going to show a quick video clip of Dr. Wayne. Hey, welcome back. I'm pretty excited to chat with my friend and guest today, Dr. Wayne Pernell. Now, Dr. Wayne achieves breakthrough levels of personal and professional results and is known as the leader's leader. Insightful, witty, and playful, Dr. P, as he's known by his clients and friends. Well, I just call him Dr. Wayne because I don't know why. I'm just the oddball in the group, I guess. Brings more than 35 years of experience as a trusted advisor to entrepreneurs and executives. He leverages a proven framework to create clarity and focus, foundational elements in building relationships and developing leadership skills. Now, these are the basis of his dynamic leader programs, driving to the definition and setting of strategic pathways to attain new breakthrough successes. Now, Dr. Wayne has been seen in Forbes, been on Fox and NBC morning TV, and is an internationally acclaimed and multi-time best-selling author, speaker, and certified high-performance coach. Now, his work continues to help people across the globe. Now, Choosing Your Power was his first book, and has earned wide acclaim for the self-development focus it offers. His second book is also a bestseller with Brian Tracy, The Winning Way, which focuses on meaning maker leadership. Now, his most recent book, The Significant Factor, which he just launched in September 2016, became an immediate #1 bestselling, focusing on key steps anyone needs to transform their life and make it truly matter. Now, after earning his doctorate in clinical psychology, Dr. Pernell stepped into the business arena, working with organizational leaders and their teams, serving several high-profile companies, including Schwab, 3M, Whole Foods Market, AAA, and Tyco. Now, growing up as the son of a dentist, Dr. Pernell circled back to help dental professionals to grow their practices. In addition to developing his dynamic leader programs, Dr. Pernell has been with Pride Institute since 2005 and now serves as a senior consultant and director of organizational development. Now, Dr. Wayne's calling and his superpower is to help get people unstuck both personally and professionally. And he does that through his Dynamic Leader program. So please give it up with likes, love, shares, and a virtual flurry of thumbs up and heart icons across the screen for my guest today, Dr. Wayne. How you doing, Dr. Wayne?
Hey, great. What a great day to just be, making a difference out there.
Excellent, excellent. So how's things been with you? It's been a while since we've connected. I can't remember. Was it December, I think?
It has been a little while, and it's just things are really moving. It's incredible. I feel like I'm connecting with more people, both locally across the United States, actually internationally, and that includes us. I mean,
exactly. Now
you're across the border too, so it's great.
I'm not sure if you were. I'm quite sure you were at the event. You may not have been at the event in December down in San Diego. I think that was the last time I was there.
Yeah.
I was there prior, and so you just recently launched a book, which we'll get into
a
little bit more in the interview. But first thing I like to do before we get too far into this interview is really a speed round of questions. In case you haven't watched the show before, don't worry. It's nothing you had to study for. There's 10 questions. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just so that the people watching get to know a little bit more about you on a personal as well as professional basis. So
Sure.
You just basically say the first thing that comes to your mind in a few words or a sentence. And as always, I'd like everyone at home to play along. So just type in your answer in the comment section and just play along with Dr. Wayne. So you all set?
As set as I can be.
Okay. So name the book that impacted your life the most.
Oof. There are two that spring to mind. So if it's like the book, one of them is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? Yes. That's sort of foundational. Everyone who's working on their way to authority and influence, you need to really be looking at how do you make that happen? What steps need to be in place? So certainly Napoleon Hill's work is absolutely foundational and fundamental. It's what has influenced the people in our world now. He was, what was that, 80 years ago, 100 years ago?
He was the grandfather of the actual personal development movement. He
Truly.
spent 20 years of his life interviewing the wealthiest and the most influential people in the world at that point in time, pretty much on his own dime.
So finding out how they did it, and it's it's been said that success leaves clues. Well, he interviewed people to find out what were the success paths. That was fabulous. So I said there were two that influenced me. Want to know the other one? That was like the question was what had the biggest impact?
Biggest impact in your life.
So writing my first book had a gigantic impact in my life, right? So just like choosing your power was gigantic for me, because this had been something, and I think many of our listeners and viewers will have the same feeling of there's more, like I've got something inside of me. what if I could share it? And I know that's the work that you're doing, is helping entrepreneurs get that out, get their voice out. Well, choosing your power is about finding your voice. It's about, stepping into that place of, I've got something to say.
Yeah, we're going to actually get into that in
awesome.
Very shortly. So second question, when you were a young boy, who was your celebrity crush?
A young boy, I probably, I'm going to say Susan Day.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I know the name, but it's
okay.
not someone
So she played on the Partridge Family, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who it is now.
So I would probably say her, just as a kid going, she's kind of cute, right? So
yep. Okay, so next one. What is either a book, a podcast, or a show that you're really into right now?
Boy, I am into I think it's on Netflix. There's a show called Arrow, which is kind of cool. He's sort of a comic book.
Yeah, I know exactly which
hero,
show it is. Yeah,
right. And books and podcasts. I mean, there are so many. One of my mentors is Brendan Burchard, and also Mike Koenigs, and we'll talk about them. I'm hoping a little bit.
That's fine. I just needed to know one of any of those three. That's fine.
One of any. Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of coaches, are you currently working with any coaches, and if so, who are they?
Actually, both of them. And as I started to say, Brendan has a couple of books out, The Charge and Motivation Manifesto, that I'm really thrilled with. Both of those books. I'm working with both Brendan and with Mike Koenigs and with Ed Rush as coaches.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite movie of all time?
How about two of them? So one of them was Enter the Dragon, right? And that was Bruce Lee, and he just I was a teenager when that hit, and it was that just made so much sense to me, just because who he was, right? Yes. And then the other was Star Wars, which just I loved and still do love the idea of Yoda, and his sayings, because they were very Zen-like and very Gestalt psychology kind of sayings.
Yes. So, are you currently involved in any masterminds?
Yeah, actually, so business coaches and excuse me, and masterminding I'm in a high level mastermind with Brendan Burchard.
Okay.
It's a high performance mastermind, and I'm in Top Gun coaching and mastermind program with Ed Rush and Mike Koenigs. So those are two high level masterminds where, do people know what masterminding is?
Yeah. Most people who watch the show have a very good understanding what masterminding is. And actually, you may know a really good friend of mine who works at with Brendan Burchard. I believe he's in his mastermind. He also works at his shows, and his name is Mike Wolf from Calgary.
Oh yeah, I know Mike.
Mike, yeah, good friend of mine since 2009.
He's a sweet man with a giant heart. So
he's
just
amazing. Yeah. So we connected on the real estate, like I said, back in 2009 when I first started, and we've traveled together and remained really good friends. So,
good.
Name a person, either dead or alive, who you'd most like to meet and have dinner with.
I've actually thought about this a couple of times. Richard Feynman. He's a physicist, right? And so just a person who looks at the world and doesn't look at it through the lens of physics all the time necessarily, as much as the lens of what's possible.
Right.
Buckminster Fuller, also the inventor of the geodesic dome, it'd be like, how do you even think that way, right? So to learn how to think differently, and I think that's why, for example, people choose coaches, right? To get a perspective.
So what's your favorite type of vacation? Beach vacation or adventure tour?
Put me on a beach. Put me on a beach. For me, it's I love just the sound of the water. I grew up near ocean, and so I'm very pulled toward that. So yeah, just
so almost through this. What's the best business advice you ever received?
Wow. Okay. So some people who are following me on Facebook have seen the interviews with my dad, and I was really mad at him when he said this once, but it was really great. And that was, the thing that makes the most difference is basically at the end of your wrist. And that is, you've got your own two hands, go make something happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, you've got this, you've got the control, you're controlling your own, basically, he didn't say it this way, but that's what the message was. You're in control of what you do with your life. And so it's like, versus I should, plug in, punch a clock, do for somebody else. It's like, well, I could do that and I could do my own. I could do my own only. I could do, right? So, right, choose, which goes back to some of the other concepts that I actually have been growing. So, yeah.
And the last question, it's two parts. Now, this is not what you consume on a regular basis, but if you were going to treat yourself, so what would you treat yourself to as far as a beverage? Would it be, out of these three, would it be water, beer, or wine? And what would you treat yourself to a snack? Would it be pizza, wings, or salad?
It's funny. I drink water on a regular basis. Beer, I find, it's funny enough, I find that beer bloats me out so much that I just feel bad, So wine, I live not too far from Napa, and, recent getaway with my wife, we went out to the Anderson Valley, which is more north coast from here in California. And so wine, definitely wine. And then food treat. Okay, so
pizza, wings, or salad.
Quirky thing. I actually like the taste of wings, but I don't like getting messy. So and salads I eat on a regular basis. Yeah. So the treat for me is pizza. Excellent. So there you go. Yeah.
Excellent. So everyone give Dr. Wayne some love by hitting that like button, love button, and share and comment on the speed round. Just take a quick peek, see who's joining us. And if you haven't done so, just please type your name into the comment field and just let us know who you are and where you're from. And I just see that Charlie is joining us. Welcome, Charlie, to the show. And if you have any questions you want me to ask Dr. Wayne, just type them in the comment section, and we'll see if we can get to them during the show. And if not, we'll answer them after the show in the Facebook comments. And if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Dr. Wayne Pernell, a high-performance leadership advisor. He helps leaders build influence and productivity by gaining greater clarity and certainty, even if you're in the midst of a major transition. Now, that means becoming more effective and productive, which really means gaining more time and money freedom so you can focus on the things that really matter. Now, Dr. Wayne is an award-winning #1 best-selling author, speaker, and high-performance leadership advisor. He's a frequent guest on radio leadership summits and has been seen on morning TV and in Forbes magazine. He works with leaders and teams from entrepreneurs to multi-billion-dollar corporations. His clients have been classified his work as life-changing, and he's really become known as the leader's leader. His superpower is to get people unstuck both personally and professionally. By creating and doing that, he's created his Dynamic Leader program. So like I said, if you have any questions you want me to ask Dr. Wayne Pernell, just type them in the comment field and we'll see if I can get to them before the end of the show. If not, we'll answer them after the show in the Facebook comments. And as always, please like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and any business pages that you're associated with. So Dr. Wayne, can you give the viewers who may not know about your origin story sort of a little bit more about who you are and what got you into the field that you're into now?
Yeah. Here's the thing is that when I was 42, I felt like I had a lot of success behind me, but I also knew that I wasn't happy. And in fact, having success doesn't mean that you're happy. I was on the verge of bankruptcy. I was on the verge of losing my job. I was on the verge of divorce, like all of these things. I was just teetering. I got away. I needed to get some headspace. I flew to my brother's place in Nevada, and I'm sitting on his living room rug, pulling up the little strands of carpeting, going, just sort of head in hands, thinking about my life and what needed to happen and who I was. And Jeff is his name. He comes in and he's like, "I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here." And I'm like, it's good to be here, just like good, He's like, "I tell you what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Maybe we should get a pizza." And he's very animated. I'm like, I'm trying to be depressed here, darn it. Like, grr. And I just, and he's like, "Get a pizza. Let's get a pizza." I'm like, "Cool. That's cool. Let's get a pizza."
Yeah.
Like, okay. And he leaps off into the kitchen and he, picks up the phone book. Remember when there were phone books?
I remember the phone books.
And he grabs the phone. And that was on the wall, right? Remember those? Yeah. Big long cord. And he starts to dial in. And he yells to me. He goes, "Hey, brother, hey," because he never called me Wayne for some reason. "Hey, brother, what do you like on your pizza?" And I'm like, "I don't know, pineapple and olives." He's like, "Cool, pineapple and olives." And he starts to punch in the buttons. And I yell out to him and I say, hey, wait, just wait. And then I burst into tears. And he's like, he looks at me and he hangs up the phone, puts the phone book down, and he comes over and he puts his arm around me. He's like, "Dude, it's just a pizza." And I'm like, I know, but you know what? Nobody ever asked me that question before.
Yeah.
Nobody, and he's like, "What question?" I go, "Nobody ever asked me what I like on my pizza." And I realized that I gave him the answer that was easy to give. Like, that's what the kids like. So it's just easy. Just do that. Just do that. And I realized in that moment, that was sort of transitional for me. Like, wow, if I'd been giving away small choices like that, what about the big choices, right? What about the big ones? And as I said, I was pretty potent out in the world, but I just felt like, had I really made, a difference?
So would you consider that your, like, a personal turning point for you?
Well, yeah, you know what? That's where a lot of things came together. I started realizing if I had been giving away those choices, then what about the bigger choices? And I can't be yes, they have this role. Yes, they feel powerful, but they're going along to get along. And so, yeah, you know what? That was a transition point for me. That was a really powerful place where I go, you know what? I got this. I now get to create the life that I want, and I get to help people create the life that they want and deserve, right? So absolutely, that was it's like, what was a transitional point? Oh, being asked about pizza. Yeah. Like, it's amazing though, where it comes from, like bang, in an instant, that realization.
Do you find a lot of your clients have that end up with that, similar aha moment or similar place in their life where they actually, just one little thing actually turns them around?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. We all have that. What I find is that we have that supposed to, air quotes around supposed to, in our heads of, we get on this path and we look at what success looks like and we climb this path. And when we get there, we're like, really, this is it? And so what happens is we're at this place of going, there's got to be more. I did all the things I was supposed to do, and that's the key.
Yeah.
Is, what looked like success so many years ago isn't anymore because you're a different person. And it's like, that's what happens is you've got to acknowledge your growth and keep that out in front, right? What's next for you? Redefine what success is for you. So yeah, there are little aha moments. And my hope is that happens with each of us almost every day. Like, aha, next, what's like, that's what sparks people. That's what keeps people going.
Excellent. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Dr. Wayne Pernell, a high-performance leadership advisor. He helps leaders build influence and productivity by gaining greater clarity and certainty, even if you're in the midst of a major transition. Now, that means becoming more effective and productive, which really means gaining more time and money freedom so you can focus on the things that really matter. Now, Dr. Wayne is an award-winning, #1 best-selling author, speaker, and high-performance leadership advisor. He is a frequent guest on radio, leadership summits, and has been seen on morning TV and in Forbes magazine. He works with leaders and teams from entrepreneurs to multi-billion-dollar corporations. His clients have classified his work as life-changing, and he has come to be known as the leader's leader. So if you have any questions you want me to ask Dr. Wayne Pernell, just type them in the comments section, and we'll get to them before the end of the show. And if we can't get to them before the end of the show, then we'll answer them in the comment field. And if you're watching this on the replay, just tag either Dr. Wayne or myself, and we'll definitely follow up with you and get back to you with an answer. And as always, be sure to like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and any business pages that you're associated with. And just type your name in the comment field and just let us know where you are and where you're from. So Dr. Wayne, in your first book, Choosing Your Power, you talk about the communication watchwords. Now, can you explain what you mean by that and maybe give us a few specific examples?
Yeah, in Choosing Your Power, which it's my baby, I'm so proud of this. This came about because I would teach, and then people would go, well, where's that written down? And then, where's that written down? And I started to keep track of what people were asking me. And it was like, okay, people need to hear this. Well, in Choosing Your Power, I have 10 watchwords. And these are words that I call them watchwords because I think your life will get better when you eliminate them. Now, they're watchwords because there are caveats. Like, the first word is why. Like, I'll give you maybe 3. The first word is why. Now, why, if it's an introspective word, and there's a great book out called Start With Why, that's about introspection, finding out your purpose, your big direction, your big thing that carries you through. Why, though, when you're doing it in interpersonal communication, someone makes a comment or you choose to ask a question of another person and you start with why? Or why did you do that? Or why, it becomes very judgmental. Mm-hmm. It becomes really judgmental. And in fact, it feels like, somebody's dropping a gavel on you. And it's like, well, why'd you do this? And why'd you do that? And, and by the time you're done being, interrogated, it feels like a massive amount of judgment has been dropped on you, right? So it's like, why this? Why that? Why this? Instead, like if you're really curious about something, and I know that makes a big noise, bang, right? Judgment.
Got lots of props with you.
Right. I always carry those. Don't you? No. So like instead of asking why did you do something, ask what or how. Like, I could say, the microphone in front of you. Why'd you choose that, John? Instead of, hey, John, what about that mic do you like? Yeah. It's a very different question, right? What brought you to choose that microphone? It's a very different question. The next one is but. And it's like, I have a joke that there's this thing called butt face. And that, like, conversation has become almost competitive these days. You wait for the other person to take a breath. And so butt face is this thing where it's like you're ready to jump in with but, and it's like, okay, so no butt face, no but. The thing is that, it's I heard there was a manager who was really trying to make a point with his team, and it was back during the summer into the fall. He goes, July and August were really great months, but we have 2 weeks left in September. And it's that one little word that causes so much confusion. It's like, think about substituting and, which is inclusive. And if he had said this, July and August were really great months, and we have 2 weeks left in September, that little swallowed syllable and, and we have is like so great, So definitely we're going to substitute what or how instead of why. We're going to substitute and instead of but. And the last one is should. People show up at parties, holiday gatherings, that kind of thing. And it's like, oh, you should have been here sooner. Oh, you should have called. Oh, you should have brought green beans instead of potato salad. Well, I can't should have now for something that was, right? So we look at in the future, well, what could you have done? What could you do to, like, you always run late. You should have been here sooner. Well, what could you do to be here on time? What could you do, right?
I know in my own personal vocabulary, I stopped. I try to be aware of when I use should when I talk about myself. Like, I should go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I become aware of it. I try to change my verbiage to be, it's really in my best interest if I were to go to the gym.
Yeah, going to the gym.
Go to the gym, but it's in my best interest, or I will achieve a better health if I actually go to the gym versus I should, because I just, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I heard something or read something, just changing some of those, because it's really you put a big expectation on yourself.
Well, it's also it's the judgment, right?
That's
so
right.
Hey, if you want to read something, I would say read this, but but that's the thing is why, but, and should, right? So should is more judgment. I should do this, almost with the parentheses of if I don't do this, I'm bad or wrong or stupid, right? So it's like that doesn't serve you.
No.
Unless you have a history of, that should actually always lights a fire under my butt to get there. No, then it's like, well, what choice do you have? I think that there's so much power in choice. I could go to the gym. And if I choose to go to the gym, wow, I actually feel better even after 10 minutes of being there, right?
Yes.
So it's like, I could go to the gym versus, I should go to the gym. But let me sit here and have a bag of Doritos or pizza or whatever. It's like, no, I could go to the gym right now. Like,
and words are so powerful when it comes to your own personal psychology.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
It can really change a lot of, changing the way you talk changes the way you think, which changes the way you act.
So true, John.
Changes your results.
So true, John. That's and in terms of words, like choosing your power as the title of the book, that's not an accident. No. It's an active verb, right? Choosing is like, choose your power is like, okay, go do that, or the power of choice. It's like those are different than choosing your power, which is active right now. And so I am a big fan of words, and this is where I've seen management and leadership and entrepreneurs and husbands and wives blow it or step into their greatness, and so as leaders, we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the teams we're leading, even if who we're leading is our kids or our family, or maybe we're in a community group of some sort. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people around you to choose words that are empowering. Right? How do you lift somebody up through the words you use, including yourself?
So, Dr. Wayne, how did you actually go from the field of psychology into business, specifically focusing on leadership? Like, what was that? How did that transition even come to play? Obviously, you went to school for psychology, and most people that study psychology are, working with individuals in their, in that sort of, what most people think of a traditional psychologist. But how did you venture off into the business world?
Well, it's funny. I have, there's a thing that happens in psychology graduate school. Everybody seems to grow the goatee and they become, so serious. And it was like, and on the women, that thing looks terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So it just never appealed to me. Like nothing against anybody with facial hair. It really, seriously, it's all good. It's the attitude of, let's, explore. And I knew there was more. And so I was sort of an outsider in grad school. And yet I went the traditional path. And so I was doing, I had an office. I had a private practice. I was doing couples work with some people, and this guy calls me and he says, "You really helped me with, my communication with my wife. You helped me and my wife so much." And I go, "Wow, thank you. That's, what a great call." And he goes, "But that's not why I'm calling you." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "You helped me and my wife. Now I need you to help me and my vice president." And I didn't realize that this guy was the head of a big company,
Right.
In South San Francisco. So I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "That thing you did with us, I need us to do it here." So I began, I argued with him a little bit. "Come to my office." He's like, "You come to me." I'm like, "Come to my office." "You come to me." I went to his office. We began working together, focusing on communication skills, focusing on clarity of purpose, focusing ultimately on strategy as well. And it just sort of came out of it. And about the fourth time that I showed up at his office, some of the line staff were outside and they were applauding my arrival. It's like, "You're here." I'm like, "What?" And they point up. They're like, "They are talking so much better together. We know where we're headed. Their communication with us is so smooth. We know where we're headed. We know what's expected of us."
Nice.
So I began doing focus groups with line staff, with middle management, and with senior management. And from there, I began doing what became known as organization development. It wasn't really a thing back then. I've been doing this for like 37 years at this point. It wasn't even a thing. It was like maybe just starting.
Yeah.
Industrial organizational was how to get your workers to work better. How do you, but organization development wasn't really a thing where you create this focus and this, communication bridge, and that starts with vision. It starts with a values-based vision.
Yeah.
And that's what was in my heart, was like, we need to start with what you believe, right? So we started there, and it's been great. Since then, as you mentioned in one of the introductions, I've worked with Schwab and 3Com and Whole Foods Market and AAA and Safeway, Bank of America, Simplex, Pernell. Like, these are companies where I've been able to make a difference for executives, for senior leaders.
Wow.
Fabulous to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's just amazing. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Dr. Wayne Pernell, a high-performance leadership advisor. He helps leaders build influence and productivity by gaining greater clarity and certainty, even if you're in the midst of major transition. Now, that means becoming more effective and productive, which really means gaining more time and money freedom so you can focus on the things that really matter. Now, Dr. Wayne is an award-winning, #1 best-selling author, speaker, high-performance leadership advisor. He's a frequent guest on radio leadership summits and has been seen on morning TV and in Forbes magazine. He works with leaders and teams from entrepreneurs up to multi-billion-dollar corporations. His clients have classified his work as life-changing, and he's come to be known as a leader's leader. So if you have any questions you want me to ask Dr. Wayne, just type them in the comment field, and I'll see if I can get to them before the end of the show. If not, we'll answer them after the show. And as always, please like, love, share this video on your Facebook feed and with any business pages that you're associated with. So Dr. Wayne, what were some of the biggest obstacles that you faced with respect to going into the business for yourself, and how did you overcome some of those challenges? Because you're working as an advisor within an organization, but when you ventured out on your own, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced, biggest obstacles you faced, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that we all face is what's known as the imposter phenomenon. Like, do I know enough? And the imposter phenomenon is really, wow, if they knew what I don't know, if they knew everything that I don't know, they'd never let me do this.
Yeah.
The thing is that you know enough. You know enough. You know enough to guide somebody. Guide them, right? You've gotten to a place, reach back and grab somebody up to where you are, right? And that, keep honing your skills, but don't wait. Right. So the biggest obstacle was, what if I don't know enough? And that mind game of not good enough and not feeling strong enough, or not feeling like I have the authority, right? Mm-hmm. Yours is all about, we're here about how to build authority and influence. Well, you don't beg for authority. Could you please tell me I'm okay? It's like, you can't stand up in front of any group and say, tell me I'm okay. Tell me I'm good enough. So the obstacle really is internal, and knowing, you know what, I got something to share.
Yeah, it's just being aware that when it comes to authority, there's two main components. One is core competence, and the other is desire to help individuals.
Right.
So what the biggest thing that people think is that core competence. They think they either have to be a doctor like yourself, or they have to have degrees or have written a book. I mean, that definitely helps, writing a book. But they think that they have to be have so many years of experience or so many different letters after their name. When in actuality, they just have to know, be competent in that field. And generally, most people that are competent in a field know more than the average person that is looking for their help.
That's exactly right. And not, I mean, I have the letters after my name. I have 3 books. I have been on TV, but I didn't start there.
No.
Right? And so the biggest thing is take that first step. Dare to put yourself in front of somebody. Dare to guide somebody. Dare to offer an opinion.
That's right.
And get over that talk of, what if I'm not good enough? Because the real question is, what if you are? And what if somebody that you're about to talk to needs exactly what you're about to say?
Yeah, it's really the self-talk that a lot of people go through, that they the negative self-talk, that they don't think that they're good enough, when in actuality, they have a lot more knowledge than the person who's looking or seeking their guidance.
Yeah, it's magical what happens when you help that first person.
That's right.
It's like, wow.
So Wayne, you're a leadership coach yourself. So can you tell me how much of an impact hiring the various coaches that you've hired been in launching your own business? And what kind of coaching did you seek out? Yeah.
So I didn't know much about how to run a business. I was competent in my field. I was competent with my content, but I didn't know much about how to run a business. And then I started to hang with people who knew that. And not only knew that, but were on the cutting edge of that. And so, I've sought out advice from people like Brendan Burchard, who is, he researches and researches and researches, and then synthesizes what he knows and offers it. So that was just amazing for me. I've got, one of his best buddies is Mel Abraham, right? So Mel is also a business coach, and I was in his thoughtpreneur program. And then Mike Koenig's masterful on the internet, right? Just masterful in both presentation as well as step-by-step guide. Working with Pam Hendrickson, what's the language? Lisa Sasevich, what's the language? Right. Ed Rush, what are the steps? Where do you need to be? What's the strategy? And the more that you're around those kind of people, that that influences me to level up my game so I can influence others. Right? So it's that's the whole thing. I believe that we as coaches need coaches. I know that, for example, each of those people, they are in mastermind groups themselves, right? So I have this saying, you can't ask a fish what water is like, because there's no reference point for not water. So if you're trying to lead a business and believe that you should have all the answers, you're in trouble already, right? You need somebody with an outside perspective to coach and guide you. So that's where leadership advising is really, really significant. It's really important.
Yeah, you're very competent in your field, but a lot of people, they don't know what they don't know when it comes to all these other aspects that are involved in either entrepreneurship or starting their business, or marketing. Especially nowadays on the internet, how do you get to attract attention?
Even getting out of your own way, right? Sometimes it's, coming back to that, even getting out of your own way. There are the tactics and operations, and then there's the strategy and the inspiration. And that's that balance is what we each need, like, wow, how do I get to that place, that next place, whatever that is, right? So
Exactly.
even defining that.
Exactly. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Dr. Wayne Pernell, a high-performance leadership advisor. He helps leaders build influence and productivity by gaining greater clarity and certainty, even if they're in the midst of a major transition. That means becoming more effective and productive, which really means gaining more time and money freedom so you can focus on the things that really matter. Now, Dr. Wayne's an award-winning multi-number one best-selling author, speaker, high-performance leadership advisor. He's also a frequent guest on radio, leadership summits, and has been seen in morning TV and in Forbes magazine. He works with leaders and teams from entrepreneurs all the way up to multi-billion-dollar corporations. His clients have classified his work as life-changing, and he has become known as a leader's leader. And Dr. Pernell calls his superpower is really helping people get unstuck, both personally and professionally. And in doing so, his dynamic leader clients break through to even greater results, success, and happiness. So if you have any questions or comments, just type them in the comment field and we'll get to them during the show. And if not, we'll answer them after the show. And as always, make sure that you like, love, share this video on your Facebook feed and with any business pages that you're associated with. So just to touch on a little bit more what we were talking about earlier, Dr. Wayne, as mentioned, when it comes to being the authority in your business or field of expertise, like I said, one of the main ingredients is having your core competency in your subject matter. Now, what is it that leaders need to have or know before they either lead or become good leaders? Is it similar, or are there a couple different things that they need to have in place to be a good leader?
So it's interesting from my perspective. To be a good leader, you can't just say follow me. There has to be a reason, right? And that always starts with a vision. Now, the vision of where we headed starts with what do you value. So good leaders, to be a really good leader, you have to be really solid in relationships, right? You have to be good with people. And not all people, but you have to be good with people. You have to understand, to be a good leader, you have to be good in relationships. Now, to be good in relationships, you have to be solid in yourself.
Right. So
I believe that all leadership starts with who are you? What do you value? Right? That is ultimately, that is the core. Let's start there. You want to be a great leader? Let's start with you.
Where does communication come into play with respect to being a good leader?
Yeah. So communication, again, this is going to be about watchwords. It's going to be about what's the message, who's the audience, what's the medium that you're using to give that message, how often do you give that message, are you the one to give it, or are you actually going to use people to broadcast that message with you and for you? If you're the senior leader in an organization, sometimes your message is best given by the the leaders or managers in at the various levels. Sometimes your message needs to come directly from you.
Right.
So communication, absolutely, be very clear. Where is it we're headed? Always go to where are we headed? Where are we going?
So when you're leading individuals, just on a side note, when it comes to, you had mentioned that knowing your core values is very important. How important is it for the people that you're leading to have the same core values? Does it make it easier, or is it, if they don't have the same core values, is it a bigger struggle to lead these individuals?
It's a great question. I think, I would do sort of a Venn diagram where there's got to be an overlap of core values. I don't need, when the people I work with or when I'm, either when I'm working with them directly, I don't need you to have the same values as I do to show you a pathway. I need you to have similar overlap in certain areas. And when I've done that exercise, actually, I do a values exercise with leadership teams. And when I've done a values exercise with leadership teams, there's some commonality. what I find, though, is that some people have a greater spiritual value. Other people have a greater community value. Other people have a greater need for recognition value, authority. Other people have a need for giving back, service. The thing is that there's an overlap of integrity. There's an overlap of, being present for people. There's an overlap of getting things done in a particular way. And so that's what's talked about. What's our commonality and what are our differences? So do you have to have the identical values? No, there's some overlap, though, that is going to get you to that thing, right? That vision, where we headed.
Excellent. Now, in your latest book, The Significance Factor, which reached #1 in 3 categories, congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you give us some insight to the book and what someone might gain from reading this book?
Yeah, this is, I'll hold it up. This is,
nice.
Thank you. 6 key elements that really they transform your life to make it truly matter. The whole idea here, I'll give you the kind of core 6 elements without going into the whole teaching of all of them. It starts with self, right? This starts with self, the 6 key elements, self. Who are you? What do you value? And if you think about the people around you that you value, or the people in your world that you've ever valued, whether that's Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Oprah, like, what do they hold that you value, and do you represent that for yourself? Are you growing into that? That's first, self, and then is strategy. So most people in the world are operational and tactical. They want things lined up. There are people that make lists, and then if they do something that's not on the list, they'll write it on the list just so they can check it off, right? So those are the operational tactical people. And then there's the inspirational strategic people. And usually we've got a balance of both, but usually one is stronger than the other. And so really strategy is important. And then success. And really it's, how do we define success now? Because again, what happens is people get on this path and they reach this level of success having climbed this path, and they look back and they go, this doesn't feel like success. So redefining what success is for you now,
right? And
then tomorrow, now, right? So, and it's not to take you off path, it's just to define it. From there is spirit. Like, what's our connection to other than us? What's our connection beyond? How do we show up? How are we connected? How do we recognize that we're connected to each other? How do we recognize that we're connected beyond ourselves? So we've got self, we've got strategy, we've got success, we've got spirit. Then is service, right? How do we give back? And I've referenced my dad in a couple of places. This chapter on service, on giving back, is really dedicated to him. He taught me 3 words. He would always hang up the phone after talking with me, and he'd say, "Hey, do good stuff." And that would be sort of the last thing he'd say, do good stuff, right? So if you're showing up to give back, and I don't mean you must have a charity. I mean, show up in your community. Now show up in a global community. Maybe do it quietly, but how are you giving back? And significance is the last S in that 6-step process, the 6 key elements. And that really weaves it all together. There are some steps that I use to weave it all together. So really the significance factor is, it's really, it's worth working through these steps. I've written it conversationally and almost like a workbook for you to be thinking about, like, who am I in the world? How do I make my difference? How do I take my life that I think is successful and make it truly matter?
Excellent. Awesome. So I encourage everybody to pick up a copy of Dr. Wayne's book. Definitely check in the comment field. I've put all of Dr. Wayne's contact information. He does have a free giveaway, so definitely check that out as well. So just one last question, Dr. Wayne, before we go. You and I have been in a lot of seminars together. We've actually been in the same coaching and mastermind group, and it doesn't matter where you go or where I see you, you have a little stuffed monkey with you.
Do I?
So can you tell the people at home about Curious George and the meaning behind Curious George?
Um, yeah. Okay. So I do travel with Curious George, and
You just can't get to sleep at night without your
my
stuffy,
monkey.
right?
No,
Without your stuffy.
here's the thing about Curious George. Curious George is not just any monkey, right? He is curious. And so that's one of the three things that I look for and part of what I teach, right? You cannot be in curiosity and be in judgment at the same time. You can't be curious and be judgmental. And so if you open the door to curiosity, if you start every meeting with, I wonder, right? Then it's not judgmental. If you find yourself in judgment about a person, about a thing, about an event, then really come back to curiosity. And so I use him as sort of a playful little way of saying, remember, just stay curious, right? Yeah. And then communication counts, right? Communication counts. So it's really, curiosity is important, communication is important, and being absolutely certain is also important. Being certain about your purpose. So there's the 3 C's, as I call them: the certainty or clarity of purpose, right? How clear are you about what you believe in and where you're headed? How are you communicating that? And what are you opening yourself to during the day by being able to stay curious? So yeah, Curious George is my little muse. He makes me laugh every time I bring him out. When you're laughing, you're actually learning better too. Everything changes when you're smiling and when you're laughing. So, curiosity, clarity, communication, 3 very important C's that any leader needs to take with them.
Thanks. I want to personally thank you very much for being on the show, Dr. Wayne, and sharing with us all about your knowledge and information, and hopefully, that will benefit a lot of the people watching the show. As mentioned, I posted Dr. Wayne's contact information in the comment section, as well as the link for his website and getting the free download. So I encourage you to go ahead, click on that, and take him up on his offer for the free offer. What is the free offer, by the way?
You know what? So
is it a book?
It is, yeah. Oh. So my website is dynamicleader.com, right?
Yes.
And the free offer is actually my name, right? So you've got to go to waynepernell.com/free. waynepernell.com/free. And you can get this book. You can get a copy of
download the book. Nice.
You can get a copy of The Significance Factor. So, that's available out there.
Yeah, like I said, I posted the links in the comment field. So if you're watching this video, just check out the links, click on it, go to Dr. Wayne's website, as well as click on it to pick up his book for free. Great offer. Thank you very much, Dr. Wayne. Everyone show Dr. Wayne some love by hitting that like button, love button. And as always, make sure that you share this on your Facebook page, as well as any business pages that you belong to. And again, Dr. Wayne, I just want to thank you very much. And for all of you watching, just stick around. I'll be back in a few minutes a few seconds with some closing remarks. So thanks, Dr. Wayne.
My pleasure.
Well, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who's looking to take your business to the next level and want to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on today's show? Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create a life of our own, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our own desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. Now, a great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Step 1 to reaching our freedom life is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with a coach where being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frame to get you from where you are to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move forward with their business. Now, the second step to creating the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return on your time invested, the ones that truly make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help save you time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, for example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now, just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time, and the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author. You have enough content that's going to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. You have a successful podcast. Now, it's automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, and generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now, this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, to find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website at johnamccabe.com or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now, again, thank you for joining us on today's show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.